with that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Gregory Vogt, who writes, we are officially heading into the weekend of the Academy Awards. Yes, indeed we are. As this is the last John Campea Show before the awards take place this Sunday, I was wondering, what are your final predictions for who will win all the major awards? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, it's time. I've had some picks from about 4 weeks ago that changed 2 weeks ago, that changed again 3 days ago. But here we are. This is the last chance we got to give our picks. Now, look, no spoiler alert here. It's the 4 major acting categories has not changed for me. I mean, look, I think everybody knows. Joaquin is going to win Best Actor. Renee Zellweger is going to win Best Actress. Laura Dern's going to win Best Supporting Actress. Brad Pitt's going to win Best Supporting Actor. But still, let's take a look, shall we, everybody? Aaron, let's take a look at this. Let's start going through all these categories here. Now, by the way, this is Entertainment Weekly's a list here. So we're going to start thing on Entertainment Weekly with Best Picture.
Okay.
Best Picture, Entertainment Weekly is projecting Parasite to win, despite the fact that 1917 has won Directors Guild, won BAFTA, won the PGA. But they're projecting Parasite. Of course, it's up against Ford v. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm telling you, it's going to be 1917. 1917. I mean, there is a chance other films will win, but if I was putting $5 on this, I put it on 1917. That is what I'm sticking with for the prediction going into the Oscars. How do you feel?
I agree. You know that I've said it a million times. I definitely want it to be 1917. I may have to flip a table. However, I did love Parasite, and there has been a lot of chatter on Twitter about Parasite as a Best Picture, so we could have an upset again this year.
All right. Next up, Best Director. And again, I don't think there's a lot of drama here. The projected winner by Entertainment Weekly is Sam Mendes. Again, won the Directors Guild of America. He's been winning a lot of other stuff. I think this is almost a lock. But of course, it's hard to say a lock when you're also running against Martin Scorsese, Todd Phillips for Joker, Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Bong Joon-ho, who could be a dark horse in this. He could be an upset thing, but I still think it's going to be Sam Mendes. How do you feel?
I agree. I think it'll be Sam Mendes. However, when it comes to the performances of the actors, Bong Joon-ho did a phenomenal job. And he also won the Golden Globes. So
yeah, but you know how I feel about the Golden Globes.
I know how most people feel about the Golden Globes.
All right. Although they do put on a great show.
They put on a great show. Everybody's
really
drunk by the end. It's fun to watch. And it also is sometimes a precursor to what we're going to see at the Oscars. So I wouldn't be surprised with an upset there too.
All right. Now we move into what I think are the locked ones, but you never know. So Best Actress, they are projecting Renee Zellweger. She's been sweeping up every award, so it seems Cynthia Erivo, Scarlett Johansson, Saoirse Ronan, Charlize Theron for Bombshell. I don't see any potential. I mean, a month ago, 2 months ago, I would have thought, you know what, Scarlett Johansson, because everybody loved Marriage Story, and what she and Adam Driver did on screen together is incredible, but it's going to be Renee Zellweger, right?
Yeah, she carries the entire film. She has this incredible ability as an actress in a Philip Seymour Hoffman sort of way to just embody a completely different person and take on a persona, as she did in Chicago, as she's done before. She's phenomenal, and she'll win.
She's great. All right, Best Actor in Leading Role. Everybody in the planet is projecting Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. He's up against Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Jonathan Pryce, The Two Popes. I'll tell you what, if I was an Oscar voter, I think I might be voting Jonathan Pryce. That's not to take anything away.
Just to be an outlier? Just because you know that Joaquin Phoenix is going to win? Or you're saying that you think Jonathan Pryce should win?
I think if I was an Oscar voter, I think I would vote Jonathan Pryce. Again, Joaquin Phoenix was stupid good. Adam Driver was stupid good. Antonio Banderas was stupid good. But I don't know. When I watched The Two Popes, because the majority of this movie is two guys in a room talking.
Sure. In
different rooms at different times. But that's really 90% of this movie is two guys in a room talking. And the way him and Anthony Hopkins held court, I was just sucked into the movie and the characters and the performances. And I don't know that I wouldn't vote Two Popes. but it's going to be Joaquin Phoenix.
Sure.
Joaquin Phoenix is going to win this award, and I will have no complaints about it because he's freaking phenomenal in this thing. So I think easily the winner is Joaquin Phoenix. What about you?
But you know what? You bring up a good point, which is when looking at two performances and comparing them, how do you compare them? Do you compare them to, one actor who is so captivating and talented that you could watch that person read from the phone book, or someone else who transforms their body physically and also transforms themselves psychologically to embody a completely different character and has so much physicality throughout the film that really costs them a lot that they have to recover from? How do you compare those two performances? It really is, and which is why
it's a case by case.
Which is why it is an honor just to be nominated, because both of them could and should win, but Joaquin will.
Joaquin will. All right, now we move on to Best Actress in a Supporting Role. I think out of all the nominations this year, if you had, like every year I kind of say, there's a few things we would call locks, but if you had to say there was one category that I would drop $100 on, and none of the rest of them I would. But if I had to say there was one category that I would drop $100 on, the lock of the Oscars this year is Laura Dern for Marriage Story. I just think that is the lock. Kathy Bates was great. Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit was great. Florence Pugh in Little Women was great. Actually, a movie I liked a lot more than I thought I would. And Margot Robbie in Bombshell was great. But this is Laura Dern's thing. Laura Dern in a movie that Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson so own. She owned every scene she was in.
She stands out. It's hard to watch that movie and not go, oh, Laura Dern. She really she doesn't take anything away from Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, but she really, every single scene. And I think that especially, I've heard so many women say, man, if I were a divorce attorney, I would totally be that girl. Women
or you'd want that girl.
You would want that girl. And women actually look, and she has this aspirational quality, like a woman who's just been through a divorce, been through hell, sees women at their most vulnerable, and she's just got it all together.
Yeah, and she's a piranha.
I would say though, I for my, as great as I thought she was, if I were a voting member, I would vote Scarlett Johansson. I just loved her and I didn't want to love her in Jojo Rabbit. I honestly didn't. I don't go into a Scarlett Johansson movie going, oh, I can't wait to see Scarlett for some reason, but I loved her in Jojo Rabbit. Loved her.
This is how good of a year was for Scarlett Johansson. People are going to look, she gets nominated for this. She's incredible in it. And when people look back to 2019, they're not even going to think about Jojo Rabbit. They're going to think about her performance in Marriage Story. That's how good of a year she has had. It has been an incredible year for her. All right. Best Actor in a Supporting Role. Again, no big surprise. Projected winner is Brad Pitt. He has been winning everything else along the ways. Again, I might probably cast my vote for Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes. Again, to me, that movie was just held together entirely by its performances. But Tom Hanks, Beautiful Day. Tom Hanks is so good, it loses it's almost works against him because it's lost its meaning now to say Tom Hanks is incredible in this movie. And because we just assume it now.
Right.
He's so good in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I believed every second that he was Fred Rogers, the greatest human being to ever walk the face of the earth. I just believed it every second. But we just so assume it now of him that it's, oh yeah, Tom Hanks is
right.
Brilliant and wonderful, of course. But anyway, but Brad Pitt, listen, I'm not a big fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I didn't dislike the movie. I liked the movie, but I am not its biggest fan. I don't think it's one of Quentin Tarantino's better films.
I would say so, yeah.
But oh my God, Brad Pitt really is so good in it. I love Brad Pitt in this movie. So he's going to win and I'll have no complaints. How about you?
And I'm excited for Brad Pitt because he has done so many films that I think that he did thinking, oh, this is going to be my chance to win over the Oscars. Yeah. This is going to be my chance to let the Academy know that I'm not just another pretty face, that I can actually act. And he is a good actor. He's a phenomenal actor. And he's done all of these, 7 years in Tibet. And he's done all these films that I think people want him to do to be seen as a more serious actor. But ultimately, we want to see Brad Pitt just being kind of a sloppy badass. And that's what he does best. And he's so... And I think also sometimes at a certain point in an actor's career or a director's career, people go, you know what? It's just your time. It's just your time. It's just Brad Pitt's time. He was phenomenal in this film. He is a phenomenal actor, and I'm glad that he's finally getting his just desserts. Tom Hanks has plenty of Oscars. He'll be okay. He'll get another nomination next year for something. I'm not worried about Tom Hanks.
And by the way, I going into it, I was kind of curious, how well will Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio do together? Because they're both phenomenal, and their chemistry was so good. It's what made the movie. Is their chemistry. That's what made it.
You do believe that these are two guys who have been working side by side their entire careers, and you want to go have a beer with them.
Yep. All right, let's keep moving on here. Now we move on to Best Original Screenplay. What we've got here, Entertainment Weekly is projecting Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. Other nominees, Rian Johnson, Knives Out, Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story, Sam Mendes, 1917, Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. My vote is Rian Johnson, Knives Out. I just thought that movie is all screenplay. It's so brilliantly conceived. I loved it. But I do agree with them. I think it's going to go to Bong Joon-ho and Han Jong-won for Parasite. It's so... The way it becomes a different movie every 20 minutes is just remarkable and oddly compelling. And I think it'll win, and I got no complaints about it winning. How do you feel?
I agree, and here's why. Because before I even saw it, I said to someone, what's the movie about? And she said, I'm not going to tell you, and don't ask anyone that question ever again. Because you just got to go in not knowing anything about it. And I said, I'm going to love this movie. And you're right. It becomes a different movie every twist and turn. It becomes a different genre every twist and turn. Is it a horror? Is it a thriller? Is it a comedy? Is it a romantic comedy? I don't even know what category it falls into. And I agree. Yeah, I would love for Parasite.
Have you heard how I describe it?
No.
Did you ever see Michael Caine and Steve Martin's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
Yeah.
This is how I describe it.
Takes the fork and
Ruprecht. This is how I describe Parasite. I said Parasite is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, directed by Quentin Tarantino. That's Parasite. In a nutshell, that's Parasite. It's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh my God.
That's how, and it's brilliant that way. Okay, let's move on to Best Adapted Screenplay. Entertainment Weekly is projecting Taika Waititi. The other nominees are Steve Zalian for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for Joker, Greta Gerwig for Little Women, Anthony McCartan for The Two Popes. And I'm going to go along with Entertainment Tonight. Entertainment Weekly, I got Leonard Maltin on the brain. I believe it's the one that should win. I'm actually believing this is the one category they're going to give a little bit of love to Jojo Rabbit for. I think it's going to win Best Adapted Screenplay. What do you think?
I really hope so, because God, what an incredible movie! And yes, it is another one of those movies that has the shoe scene, which everyone just refers to as the shoe scene, is such a shocking jolt of it's again. What genre are we in? Is it a sad movie? Is it a happy movie? Are you supposed to feel good? Are you supposed to feel sad? Are you supposed to laugh? Are you supposed to cry? You do all of those things, and those moments where Taika Waititi beautifully wove them all together, and it really was like an orchestra. You felt like you were listening to a concert as you're watching this film, and the emotions were beautifully choreographed. I really hope it's Jojo Rabbit.
All right, this is almost not even worth talking about, but Best International Film, Corpus Christi, Honeyland, Les Mis, Pain and Glory. But look, when one of the nominees is nominated for Best Picture and none of the other nominees are, the Academy is not going to delegitimize themselves by saying, and the winner for Best International Feature is Pain and Glory. Well, then how come Pain and Glory isn't nominated for Best Picture? So it's going to be Parasite, obviously, and well-deserved. All right, Best Animated Feature. This is going to be interesting. Because Entertainment Weekly, and I think a lot of people are projecting Toy Story 4 to win. Here's the thing. Toy Story 4 hasn't won nothing all award season. It's everything has been Klaus and everything has been Missing Link. Mostly Klaus has been winning the Netflix animated one has been winning, including the Annies. It kind of swept up at the Annies. But I do believe Toy Story 4 will win. And here's why. I just think the Academy loves this movie. And I love this movie. I think it's great. So I agree. I think it's going to be Toy Story 4. But this is one of those categories that I have no idea what name they're going to read on that envelope when it comes to time. But I think it's going to be Toy Story 4. What do you think?
You know what? I'm not going to mention what it is, but there's a certain category a couple years ago that the I saw every movie in that category, and it was kind of an obscure category. And I was like, clearly no one in the Academy saw any of these movies, because the one who won, and that's why we had that whole conversation yesterday about who actually nominates and who actually votes. And so I really do believe that in certain categories like sound editing and animation, there are certain people that are just like, I've heard of Toy Story, so sure. And so that's why I wouldn't be surprised if Toy Story won. And of course, everybody loves Toy Story. But I also feel that with so many films that the Academy, the voting members are required to watch and expected to watch, there's just some that fall through the cracks. And some of those include the shorts category, the documentary category, the animation category. And it's sad to say, but unfortunately, not every voting Academy member watches every film that's nominated.
Wait, here's why I don't think that's an issue. This is why I don't think that's an issue. Because while I do believe, now remember, at the end of the day, really because remember, all the individual branches put out the nominations.
Right.
So then there's actually not that many things that need to be watched. I mean, really, once you boil it down to, once you got your films that are nominated, there's not actually that much that needs to be watched. And the reason I think that it's an unescapable fact. There are some Academy members that don't watch everything.
Yeah.
But I believe one of the brilliance within the Academy system, as opposed to, say, the Golden Globes that has 64 voting members. Mm-hmm. So if, 8 people don't watch the movies in the Golden Globes, that represents a significant, huge percentage of the voting body. The Academy has over 7,000 voting members. And while I believe that I absolutely
I didn't realize there was that many people.
It crossed 7,000 this year. While I absolutely believe there are some that didn't watch all of them, I believe the sheer numbers and volume and the percentage of those who do watch all of them, and again, there's not that many to watch, inoculates it against any real. So, like, let's say I'm a voting Academy member and I don't do my responsibility of watching all the movies. The Academy's pretty inoculated against me. That 7,000, the sheer voting size of the body, is like an immune system that protects it from idiot viruses like me from really affecting the overall result too much. So, I mean, it's an issue, but again, there's not that many. I'd say there's probably only about, especially when you take shorts into it, which you can knock out in about 2 hours.
See, that's where I have to disagree. I'm not going to give the example because it's a little controversial right now. It's just too soon. But I will look up a few other examples of categories where clearly people did not watch the movie.
Well, I mean, but then it's a matter of personal taste and opinion.
Well,
right?
You're acting like my personal taste and opinion isn't the way that things should be.
Well, I mean, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying, so I don't need to elaborate on that.
My mom just texted me and said that she's watching the show live, so I had to throw out that one's for you, Mom. You know I'm always right.
Okay.
So, no, I hear what you're saying, John.
Let's move on here to Best Documentary Feature, and this is one where, as a bad Academy member, I've only seen one of the nominees.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which one did you see?
I'm not going to say because I don't want to mention which ones I didn't watch.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I've only seen one on the list. So I'm just going to go, sure. Entertainment Weekly is picking for Sama, so I'm going to say sure. But the other nominees were American Factory, The Cave, The Edge of Democracy for Sama, and Honeyland. I'll just go for sure. But I believe Honeyland, if I'm not mistaken, was also it was also nominated for Best International Feature. So there's an example where a doc is actually in another category as well, which is actually
Wait, it was nominated for Best International Feature?
Yeah, alongside Parasite and Pain and Glory.
I didn't realize that features and documentaries could...
They can. So a documentary can be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
Oh, fascinating.
Isn't it, though? I don't think it's ever happened, but it can. It can. Theoretically, it can. So I
will look that up on our break.
So I can't even really venture a guess. Best Cinematography. The Irishman, Joker, The Lighthouse, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is Richard Deacon's award. I mean, 1917.
It has to be.
Look, the cinematography in The Lighthouse is crazy good. Mm-hmm. It absolutely is crazy good. I'm kind of surprised the cinematography for Ford v Ferrari didn't get nominated because that's also really great. But I agree. I think it's going to be 1917.
If you have not, have you seen the 8-minute making of 1917 on Showtime? I
have not.
I was livid that it was only 8 minutes because I got my free trial to Showtime just so I could see the making of 1917. And then Tom and I watched it. I was like, it's 8 minutes, and then I forgot to unsubscribe, so now I have Showtime. I should go and do that today. But when you watch, everybody should go watch this. Just get your free trial of 7 days of Showtime and then cancel it. But the way that they had to time the flares to light the abandoned city so that the shadows would move in certain ways at certain times. That is mind-boggling. It is such an incredible way of showing how beautifully light actually is involved in storytelling, because
it's the life of the
abandoned city
cinematographer.
scene, the way that the flares are going over, if you don't have those flares timed perfectly, it just doesn't tell the same story in that part of the film. And I love that. So I agree. I really hope it's 1917 for this.
All right, best film editing. We've got Entertainment Weekly is picking Joker. We've got Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, of course, and Parasite. I actually think my vote would be for, and I think what will win actually is Ford v Ferrari. I just think the editing of that film is so superiorly strong. It's just so superior to everything else. I thought the editing really helped make that movie what it was. Don't get me wrong, the editing in all the other nominees was fantastic, and Joker very well could win, but my pick is actually going to be, and what I think they're going to do, I think they're going to go for Ford v Ferrari. What about you?
You know what? This is one of those moments where I have to just completely admit my ignorance, and I think that because you have directed your own film and sat in an editing bay, and you have to edit so many things, not just for this project, but you're working on a documentary right now that you're going to be editing soon, if you're not already in the editing process as you're going along. I don't really understand how to watch different movies and go, oh, that editing is really good. Oh, that editing is not very good, or is not as good. And I've actually recently reached out to a friend of mine who is editing a film, and I said, can I just sit in the editing bay with you, because I need to learn more about that. So I don't really have an opinion about this category, but I'm glad to hear that you do, because I know that you have a lot of experience with that.
And I have next to none compared to other people like Robert Meyer Burnett and others. But yeah, I just thought I thought the editing made Ford v Ferrari. I mean, it's fabulous performances. I just thought it was great. All right, let's move on to costume design. We got costume design for The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This one's stacked. Entertainment Weekly is going with Little Women, and very well could be. Very well could be, but I could see an argument for The Irishman. I could see an argument for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I could see an argument for Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, because those four films all take place in very distinct time periods, and I never once doubted I was in that time period when it comes to things like costume design. I'm going to lean... I think I'm going to lean Irishman. I leaned another way the other day. I went totally a different direction. But you know what? Today I'm feeling like Irishman, so I'm going to go Irishman. I think Irishman will win. What about you?
I'm going to go Jojo Rabbit, because first of all, to pick such an iconic pair of shoes that we had no idea was going to have such a major part of that film, and also all the kids' costumes and the way that they were distressed throughout the film, and of course Sam Rockwell's.
Oh, amazing character.
I mean, Alfie Allen's bathing suit alone is worth an Oscar. I agree with you, though. This is anybody's category, but I'm going to go Jojo Rabbit.
Okay, best makeup and hairstyling. Entertainment Weekly is going for Bombshell. We got Joker, Judy, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and 1917. I'm going Joker on this one. I just, when you talk about makeup and hairstyling, it was the appearance. What really drew me into that universe's version of Gotham was just, there was a what's the best word I'm looking for? There was a palette, if you will, when it came to the physical appearance, face and hair and all that kind of stuff of the inhabitants of Gotham, and not even talking about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, that just sucked me in the whole bit. So I am actually, I'm going to go against Entertainment Weekly on this. I think it's going to be Joker.
What did Entertainment Weekly say?
Bombshell. Yeah.
I'm actually really surprised that you didn't say Bombshell, because when we first started seeing the previews and all the things, all you kept saying was
that's not Charlize Theron.
That's not Charlize Theron. That's Megyn Kelly. And then also, Gretchen. I want to say Gretchen Wilson, because I love her country music, but Gretchen Carlson. Excuse me. Nicole Kidman as Gretchen Carlson. The chin. Some people were bothered by the chin. I thought they actually did a beautiful job of creating the Fox News lady look, not just with the two characters who were supposed to look like Megyn Kelly and Gretchen Carlson, but also for Margot Robbie's look, how that look transforms as she moves further and further along in her career of embodying what that Fox News woman look is. I go with Bombshell.
All right. Next up, we're just going to rush through the last couple ones here. We're in Best Production Design. We've got The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. The Entertainment Weekly is leaning towards Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I've got to agree. Quentin Tarantino transformed the entire city. Like it was not digital. They actually went down.
All of that
Hollywood.
Was practical?
Yeah. It was all practical.
I don't know if I believe that.
No,
really?
At least the vast majority of it was. At least the vast majority. They literally recreated 1960s
No, I'm not saying
Hollywood.
that I don't believe you, but I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's nuts. And I remember I had a guy come into studio who was one of the construction dudes on what's going on, and they spilled to me like how much they're how much of the budget of this movie was just recreating 1960 Hollywood.
And also like Sunset Boulevard, like major areas.
Did crazy things.
Driving down, not just, we're going to take this one block and put up Musso and Frank's. No, okay. You know what? My opinion has changed.
Which is part of the reason why Quentin Tarantino, one of the weaknesses of the film to me was we spent like 87 minutes of this movie just driving in the car, looking at Quentin Tarantino going, look at how I transformed Hollywood, everybody.
Old Hollywood.
Look at how I did. It was all practical. Look at it, everybody. Did you not see it the last 5-minute car driving scene? Let's do another 5-minute car driving scene so you can... But listen, seriously, it was crazy. So I got to give it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It was his love affair with old Hollywood. So God bless him. With that information, it's kind of hard, especially in today's day and age when it's so easy to just rely on CGI. The fact that he did so much practical is really impressive. Does it say the name of the production designer?
No, it doesn't. So I don't know who the main
whoever
production...
you are, you're awesome.
They were very good. All right. Best visual effects. This should be a no-brainer. The nominees for Best Visual Effects are Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, 1917, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, Entertainment Weekly is picking The Lion King, and it's a no-brainer. It is The Lion King. Like,
obviously.
I'm sorry. Just stop. Just stop. If you're going to say another movie, just stop. Just
Avengers Endgame.
And remember, because a lot of people confuse things. This is not a category of what's the best movie that had visual effects. That's not it. What had the best visual effects? We have never seen something like what they did with Lion King. What Jon Favreau did with his team on Lion King is something we have never seen before. To the point that there's an argument. This is how good the effects are. There's an argument about whether or not this is a live action movie or not. So it's still people who believe this is a live action movie. That's how good it is. It is the best visual effects I think we have ever seen in any movie. Ever. It is. This thing should win. But my fear is there's going to be Academy Award members who don't understand the process of visual effects and will look at this and go, and maybe there might even be a lot of Academy members who don't even realize Lion King is just, the entire movie is one big visual effect. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to win, but it should. It damn well should. And so I'm going to say that Lion King will win. Although there's going to be a lot of push for The Irishman because of what they did to Joe Pesci and Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and that. There's going to be a lot of push for that, but it should be Lion King. It should be Lion King.
I'm going to just... be a little controversial here and say I didn't really love what they did to
Pesci and
not Pesci, specifically
Pacino,
Robert De Niro.
I
didn't. It was very clear to me. I was like, oh, that's digitally. Like it took me out of the film when I was trying to watch it.
It was still amazing.
It was amazing.
It's amazing what they did.
For sure, but for the budget, you just go. I did not think that it was as crisp and clean. When I was watching Lion King, I was like, hey, how'd they get that ant to do that? I legitimately forgot, as you were saying, that it was not live action.
Yeah. No live action. Okay. Best original song. I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story 4. I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man, which is what Entertainment Weekly is picking. I'm Standing With You, Breakthrough, Into the Unknown, Frozen 2, Stand Up from Harriet. My vote would be Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, but I agree with Entertainment Weekly with their pick of Love Me Again. I think that's going to win, but I think it should be Into the Unknown from Frozen 2.
I really want it to be Love Me Again. Like, I don't know. There's something about I want this to be Elton's year, and he was so thrilled at the Golden Globes. And so this is not based on it should win. This is just based on me just loving Elton John and seeing him express joy at winning.
Okay, we got to fly through the next couple ones. Best Original Score, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker with John Williams, 138th Academy Award nomination. I'm exaggerating, but it's in the 50s. It's in the 50s. That's how many times John Williams was nominated for Academy Award. It's in the 50s. Anyway, Joker's going to win. Entertainment Weekly is also picking Joker. I think Joker probably will win. Stunning score.
I'll take it.
Best Sound Editing, Ford v. Ferrari, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. I think it should be Ford v. Ferrari, but I mean, there's a very, very strong case to make for 1917. That is Entertainment Weekly's pick, and I'm going to agree with them. They probably will give it to 1917.
Great.
All right. Sound Mixing. Which not always, but often the winner of editing will also win mixing. The nominees are Ad Astra, Ford v. Ferrari, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, I think Ford v. Ferrari should take it, but the sound mixing in 1917 is also ridiculously good, and that is Entertainment Weekly's pick. And since I think they'll win editing, I also think they'll win mixing.
You will teach me what mixing means.
We'll go through all that, the difference between sound editing and sound mixing. We will skip the shorts and stuff like that. So there we go, guys. So the question is, that was a very long segment.
That was a long segment.
There's a lot of categories to go through there. Guys, question is, what are your final picks for the Oscars this weekend? It is the biggest weekend in the movie calendar year. What are your picks? Jump on down the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right.